Hi, this is Daniela Wolf with Bestie Life, the podcast, and this is your community to support you through the little and not so little events that make up your day-to-day life. From the I've got this moments to the I just can't moments. We are here to empower all women to find and develop the skills they need to find peace, balance, and the bliss in their busy. Through solo episodes as well as interviews with amazing women who share their journey and their story and how it works for you. I hope you find the inspirations to make you laugh, think, as well as maybe rethink what you thought you knew, and connect as we realize that we are all living similar ups and downs and don't have to do it alone. So excited for you to hear this episode, and thanks so much for joining me today. Hi, this is Daniela with Bestie Life, the podcast, and today I'm excited for you to meet Anita Henderson. Now, she is known as the author's midwife and the founder and CEO of the Writing Image Consulting and chief author, book coach, and book publishing strategist with Write Your Life, where she guides corporate entrepreneurs and executives to write, publish, and leverage their memoir, inspirational story, and instructional book. But I'm excited to also talk to her about her own memoir, Becoming the Minimalist Entrepreneur, Lessons from My Journey to Work Less, Earn More, and Play More. And this was her 9th book, and it really chronicled her quarter century as a business owner and the valuable lessons she learned along the way. And I'm excited for her to share them with you so we can all get those same benefits. So thank you so much, Anita, for joining us.
Daniela, my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me. Glad to be here.
So I know, like I said, that was super brief, but can you share a little bit about the journey, that you went on to go from, working and hustling to kind of thriving, really finding your passion and getting rid of that overwhelm?
Ooh, it's been an over 25-year journey, to be quite honest, and truly lessons along the way. I think when I started my company, I was just ready to get out of corporate, like a lot of people do when they start. And I didn't know what I was doing. It was kind of accidental. I just sort of fell into it, frustrated with my job, feeling like there was something that wasn't working there. And then an opportunity sort of fell into my lap. And, from there, my business was born. And I didn't grow up with entrepreneurship as a foundation in my life. So it wasn't like I had a bunch of people going, oh, and this is how you do it. And this is how you grow your business. And this is, I just had to figure it out along the way. And so I tapped into various teachers, I will say, as I say in air quotes, teachers. They might have been gurus. Maybe there were other colleagues. There were other entrepreneurs I met along the way. And everybody I asked and everybody I watched had a different way. And so instead of me deciding that I will create my own way, I sort of just pulled from everybody's stuff, thinking that, okay, I'll do that and I'll do that and I'll do that and that, right? And it was tiring and it was frustrating and none of it worked because I was trying to do all the things. Just imagine, a juggler with 20 balls, juggling them all at the same time. It looks impressive, but
Mhm.
it was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard trying to figure out what's the right way to do it until I figured out there is no one right way to be an entrepreneur, to enjoy it, to be successful at it. And you just have to figure out your own way.
Right. And I think so many times, you're not alone when it comes to we keep doing more because we see they're doing this and they're successful. They're doing this and they're successful, not realizing there might be 5 different people that we're pulling from, but they're each only doing one thing, right?
Right. Exactly. They're either only doing one thing or they also have some backstory and some support. Either their backstory is that they went through a lot to get to where they are, and we don't know that part,
Mm-hmm.
or they have a team or
Yeah.
employees or some support. We're seeing them as the face
Mm-hmm.
of the successful business. And maybe some of the questions we need to ask is, who's supporting you in this role that you look to be so successful at? Because for most successful people, however we define success, there's somebody behind them or
Mm-hmm.
in their sphere of influence that is helping and supporting them. So we need to find out what that looks like.
Right. As well as, everyone talks about you need to do the activities or the actions that are going to move the needle for your business. But for each different type of business, that needle moving activity is going to be completely different. So if I try and, do what an influencer does, well, that's not necessarily the goal of my business. So it's just going to end up being busy work, even though it's productive for them.
Exactly. And that's part of the catch, again, these days especially there's way more stuff available, I think, than when I started 20 something years ago. We've got all this online stuff. I mean, the internet was young then, back in
Mhm.
1997 when I started my company. Wow. Even email wasn't what it is now. There
Mhm.
was no, landing pages, and people weren't doing online courses, and they didn't have membership groups, and there weren't podcasts like this, and, all the newsletters. And I mean, there was just all these things
Yeah.
that have been created over the years since I've been in business have kind of made it a little more complicated for entrepreneurs to figure out their thing. And
Mhm.
so over the years, I just dabbled in a little bit of everything. I was always very focused on words. When I started my company, I was doing marketing, communications, and public relations. So that was great. Again, it was the early years of websites, but I was writing brochures and, annual reports and marketing materials.
Mhm.
Then I morphed and transitioned into press releases and website copy and things like that. And then when the recession hit and fewer small businesses, which was my target at the time, were allocating dollars to marketing, I needed to do something different. I had to pivot and make a change. And it just so happened that around that same time, book publishing and the entire publishing industry was going through a transition. If you remember, a lot of our daily newspapers went away, and we saw a lot of mergers and acquisitions in the book publishing space. And it made a space for regular people to decide, hey, maybe this is my time to actually tell my story and get it in book form and not have to worry about some big fancy New York, publishing company liking my idea and taking 5 years to get it published. So it was perfect timing for me. But I've always been focused on words and writing. And then there were all these things in the marketing bucket that an entrepreneur has to do. And that's what kind of got me on that crazy treadmill of hustle and grind.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think the expectations themselves have changed over the years as well, not just the amount of things. Like, I know I haven't been an entrepreneur as long, but just even in the short period of time, reels didn't necessarily exist when I first started. And now the addition of reels. And I think I love the way you're focusing on what your good strength is at versus trying to meet everybody else's expectations.
Absolutely. I think that we get to this point, and we've heard it even in corporate, where you have strengths and weaknesses. Well, my goodness, you need to strengthen those weaknesses so that you can be competitive
Hmm.
and you can, do more and be more and really be out there. And we fall into that in entrepreneurship as well, where we want to strengthen our weaknesses. Well, I had to learn that, Anita, don't worry about strengthening your weaknesses, strengthen your strengths so that
Hmm.
you're known for that thing. And that's what people think about when they think of you. Hire for your weaknesses, right?
Right.
If I'm not good at X, Y, and Z, let me find somebody who is and strengthen my strength so that I can earn enough money to pay the person to
Yeah.
do the things that I'm not so great at.
Yeah. Have you ever read the book Who Not How?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's a fantastic read, and it's exactly that same principle. It's about who you know, not what you know. So figure out who can do things
Absolutely.
versus how to do things.
Yeah. When I figured that out, and trust me, it was over a decade and a half after starting my company, um, my business just it's skyrocketed. I mean, there are other elements that helped my business grow, but certainly being willing and able and knowing the importance and the value of bringing on other people to help me do the things that either I don't have time to do, I don't enjoy, or I'm just not very good at.
Hmm. Now, as you're talking, I can imagine a lot of times when it comes to doing less, to giving things up, there's a mental kind of tug of war game, so to speak, that we probably play with ourselves, that I know I would, when it comes to whether it's guilt, giving up control, fear, so I'm guessing there was probably a little bit of a mindset piece that came into doing everything that you did. How did you approach that? What were some of the steps you took to address that mindset when it came to doing less?
Well, the mindset, I think the shift I had to address, yes, the control issues, because that was a big one. I have to touch everything. I have to be in control. I have to be the final approval. I have to be in the middle, the beginning, the end, all of that. And of course, that can be tiring and time consuming. Then there's the piece of hiring well, whether it's
Mhm.
contractors or employees, just hiring well, and often hiring before you really need something or someone, because once you need that person, you're panicked and you'll just take anybody who says yes, right?
Mhm.
So it was on the hiring side, it was really being able to, one, let go of control, and two, find people I could trust, whose skills I trust, who I had a relationship with, right? Have to build that relationship so that you can trust people.
Mhm.
And then developing systems and processes so that rather than being the hoverer and overseeing everything, I can just touch base and follow up and check in rather than having to touch every aspect of it. So it is a mindset, it's a shift. And, the bottom line in business is that you're responsible for everything, especially as a solo entrepreneur. But there is freedom in being able to bring on other people to help you. When I did, I started to feel more like a business owner, like a CEO, not just like somebody who's just picking and choosing and bringing in people willy-nilly to
Mhm.
handle stuff I don't have time to do. I felt more like a business owner when I was very strategic with who I hired, what I hired them to do, and how I oversaw their contribution.
Yeah. It makes me almost think of parenting a little bit. You can turn into a helicopter parent with your kids because again, that's your baby and you feel like you need to see it all. And I think with our businesses, that's part of why I always say, we're at higher risk of burnout as entrepreneurs because that's our baby. We are passionate, we are all in, and we are going to do everything to try and protect and maneuver everything that has to do with it.
Yeah, at some point we got to let go the
Yeah.
reins a little bit, a little bit.
hmm So if someone was listening to this podcast and wanted to walk away with like one or two actionable steps that they could start doing today, what direction would you guide them in?
I would guide them first to say, basically, to take a step back. We're always wanting to move forward, but I would say take a step back and just sit for a moment and think about what you're doing and why.
hmm
What's your why? Why are you doing what you do? I always say to people, and they question me, and the eyebrows go up like, really? That everything we do is for us first. We may also have the wonderful gift of being able to help other people in what we do, but there's a reason we do what we do. Identify that, and it's you, it's your answer. There's no wrong answer. It's inside baseball, but just identify why you're doing it. I mean, and it could be something as simple as just because you enjoy it, but there may be some other deeper reason for why you're doing it, and let it be about you. It's okay
hmm
that it's about you first, and yes, other people get to benefit. So I would say take a step back first, identify your why, and let it just be you. You don't have to explain
hmm
that to anyone. Then I would suggest you determine what your strengths are. We've talked about that already, and really play to your strengths, because that is really the foundation of brand. That's what you become known for, what you become known as. So when people think of books and book writing and book publishing, they think of Anita, the book lady, the author's midwife, right? They're not thinking about the book marketing lady or the ghostwriter, although I do those things too. I want you to think about the lady who helps me clear the cobwebs out of my head so I can write a really good book, right?
hmm
So think about what you want to be known for or known as. And then decide that you're going to enjoy it. Oftentimes, entrepreneurship is hard
hmm
only because we make it hard. Decide you're going to enjoy it, eliminate or hire for the things you don't enjoy, and really focus on what you love about your business.
That's fantastic. No, I love those tips. Those are so very concrete and actionable. So thank you for sharing them. And if you love those as well, grab a copy of Anita's book, The Minimalist Entrepreneur, so that you can get all the strategies to help you build a business that feels aligned, that feels successful, that feels good, and allows you, like she said, to step into that CEO role and work on your business rather than in your business. Now, I always love to also talk about gratitude, because I think, when it comes to our self-care and building businesses, a lot of times we can focus on what doesn't go well or what's not great. What would you say are the top 2 things you're the most grateful for?
Oh my gosh, top 2? I don't know. I just
Or
have a
3
list,
or
right?
whatever.
So honestly, uh, having the time freedom in my day, I'm super grateful for every single day. From the moment I open my eyes to the moment I close my eyes throughout the day, I get to decide how my day unfolds. Not that I do it that day, I do it the day before, the week before, but the fact that I get to control my flow of my day is just a point of gratitude that I missed out on a lot when I was an employee.
Mm-hmm.
We all know what it's like to have a boss, a supervisor, whomever, and you're on their clock, you're on their dime, and so you follow their rules, and that's the way it should be. I craved time freedom when I was an employee, and so now that I have it as an entrepreneur, I value it, and I'm super grateful for it. The other thing I'm grateful for is being able to choose the people that I work with, whether that is team members or vendors or clients.
Mm-hmm.
I get to choose them and I get to say yes or no based on what my criteria are and how it feels for me and what our relationship is. So, time freedom and the freedom to choose who I work with are just super great points of gratitude for me.
I love those. And definitely, to work with you, whether you're looking to write a book, publish a book, get yourself out there, how can people find you, Anita? How can they work with you?
Well, they can find me at writeyourlife.net, like you write a book, writeyourlife.net, and you can schedule a book strategy session with me to talk about your book idea or where you are in your book journey. And then, of course, on social media, I hang out on LinkedIn quite a bit, and you can also find me on Instagram.
Awesome. And all those links will be live in the show notes below. So thank you so much, Anita, for joining us today and sharing just those awesome perspectives, almost like a mini little masterclass on how to really kind of scale back, do less, and make more.
Absolutely. Thanks, Daniela.
Thanks so much again for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please let me know any questions or comments that you have. Also, if you can please leave an Apple 5-star review so that this episode can be shared with more women. There's 2 quotes that I love. Alone we may be strong, but together we are stronger, as well as when women support each other, incredible things happen. So let's be stronger and incredible together, as well as maybe just have some fun along the way. Thanks so much and talk to you soon. Bye.